Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I feel a little bit unhinged, and I thought, why not blow off some steam in front of the camera? And maybe some people agree with me. I'm pretty sure some people agree with me. I was watching old Asmongold.
This is Microsoft talking about how they're going to spy on you by screenshotting everything that you do.
He's a commentator channel. If you don't know who he is, he's like big into World of Warcraft. I started watching him back when I was like addicted to video games. I don't really watch him that much anymore, but he was basically watching the announcement of Microsoft and their ARM chips, which I was excited for at one time, but their whole AI thing is really bugging me. Their Copilot and all that. Now, I'm usually of the mind state that the corporations have the worst intentions. Not in the way that I think they're like out to get us or they're like plotting to destroy the world. It's not that complex. They're just out for the money, and they will do anything for the money. And although AI is obviously much more useful than, say, cryptocurrencies or NFTs, which I actually think were kind of a good idea. But scammers and certain people kind of ruined it, and it's not dead. That's a different conversation. But the marketing for the AI is just so Microsoft. They've done things like this before. And the thing is about being a user of this technology, or just a person in general, is I don't like things shoved down my throat. I use artificial intelligence. It's kind of one of those things that you have to adapt or get left behind, like when the internet came out. Do I think that it's as big of a deal as they're saying it is? Do I think that it's as big of a deal as when the internet first came to be? Absolutely not. Even though I do use it on a daily basis, as far as its like writing abilities or something like that. Like, it's good for brainstorming. It's good for certain things. It's good to punctuate. I think its spell check is pretty darn helpful a lot of the time, but you better read it through because it does hallucinate. You can't really trust its facts. I mean, all the stuff I've talked about on this channel prior to this video, all the things that everybody's basically talking about. And in my opinion, they've sucked up so much information from all the time, from everywhere, from everybody, not just artists and movie makers, everybody you can think of. Anybody that's posted on Reddit, anybody that's posted on Facebook is all gotten sucked up and continues to get sucked up into these giant language models. And then they're spat back out and they're like, this is creative. Oh, it's the same thing as a creative doing this. And there's a bunch of really good videos out there that breaks this down and how wrong it really is. They're just infringing on copyright, and Congress is too old and too greedy, more like it, to do anything about it.
So yeah, these are Microsoft's AI features. And there are people that are rightfully worried about Microsoft recording everything you do, because that's what they're doing. They are effectively recording you and screenshotting your system.
As a user, right? Like, I have Llama, I have Tiny Llama, I have some other AI brood or whatever, open source artificial intelligence running on my Windows 11 desktop. They're pretty cool. They're not as good as like ChatGPT 4 or even 3.5 a lot of the time, but it's cool to have AI running on your system, and it can run, it ran good on my 3070, and now it's running good on my 3080. That, yeah, I have a whole story about how I got that for like $100 with a trade. Anyways, very lucky to have the components that I do. So it's a pretty high-end desktop for last generation. Their NPUs are cool. I think a lot of it is actually in the right direction, but what is irritating to me is the way that all these corporations are implementing it and just shoving it in our face. I was watching a ad read for Squarespace the other day by one of my favorite creators that I'm not going to name. Just say that it's up to par or something. I'm so sick of hearing about artificial intelligence and how it's like, dude, have you ever heard of copy and paste? Like, I get that they need to implement it to appease their shareholders, but as a user, I want the ability to customize everything that I can customize, right? That's one of the benefits of Windows over Apple, even though a bunch of not great things about Apple and their operating system. I prefer it over Windows because it's not janky. There's no ads. Microsoft's putting ads all over the place. And now they have a button that's dedicated to Copilot, and they're just shoving it down our throats. And it's like, dude, I just straight do not believe that Microsoft's going to keep it all on device. You're going to log into Edge and it's going to start, I mean, it's going to be a year from now, somebody's going to find out that they sold all your data to freaking McDonald's or something. All of them. NSA for sure, but even other governments and stuff like that. Again, Microsoft makes the majority of their money selling our data. Look, and it's like with Apple, at least they make their money selling products. They sell services, right? Subscription costs, and they sell products, iPhones, MacBooks, and they innovate, dude. They innovate. Do I trust them? No. Do I think they're more secure? Yes. Do I think they're as secure as they say they are as far as privacy and stuff? No, but I do think they're a lot more private. They're a lot more on the user side. You pay a premium for it. I'm sort of an Apple fanboy, as much as I hate, I wish you could upgrade and replace their SSDs. I understand the RAM because of the way ARM chips work and the speed and how fast it's all gotten. But I like to build PCs. I prefer Linux, and I've gotten some comments about you should always use open source software, and I agree in principle. But the thing is all the softwares that you can run containers, and like DaVinci Resolve can run in a container running CentOS, which it is optimized for, and there's ways to get around it and all this, and there's GIMP and all these different ways that you can use open source software. But the truth is, as a professional, as a freelance video editor that I am, it's too much of a pain in the neck. I'm already working. I don't want to work. And I do still run Linux sometimes, for research and just browsing the web and stuff like that, and just for fun. But as a professional, you really still only have two options, and that's macOS or Windows. And when Windows is the one that's running on the majority of hardware, it doesn't give you a lot of choice, right? You either buy Mac and their hardware, or you go with Windows and whatever hardware you want to build. It gives you a little more freedom, but then I just hate the advertisements. I hate the way they shove things like artificial intelligence down your throat. A couple years ago, they were talking about NFTs and crypto, like whatever the next trend is, and who knows what they're doing with our data. They're all evil, but I feel like Microsoft is straight evil corp. I told you this was going to be off-hinged. I'm sure I got a bunch of things wrong. It is what it is. This is just I'm just getting it out. Feel free to correct me. Take everything I say with a grain of salt, obviously. But that's how I feel right now about Windows and Microsoft. I've never who loves Microsoft? Like, you might prefer the operating system, and there's definitely certain things that like Windows gets right. I have numerous friends that will not update to Windows 11. I just feel like the way Microsoft makes money is selling our data and advertisements and weapon contracts not even just with America but all over the world. That's how they make the majority of their money. And now they're trying to do that better with artificial intelligence, and they're shoving it down the throats of their users. And I'm not saying it I think Copilot, as a user, Copilot's kind of cool. I've even used it a few times. I don't like the way they're implementing it. I don't like it being shoved down our throat all the time. I don't know how else to say it. This is a stupid video. Thanks for watching. Remember to remember to subscribe, and hopefully the next video will be better. And I'll either see you in the next live or I'll see you in the next video.